Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. What I'm introducing here is a half-hour interview with some youth, 5 youth in the Carolinas, along with their Elmer, who have formed at their local community college a youth group interested in amateur radio. This is sort of a follow-on to a conversation I had at Dayton with a group of youth from the YOTA program, Youth on the Air, from Germany and Austria, trying to find out, by talking to youth themselves, what interests them in ham radio. We're going to take our case study here with a group called the MCC. No, that's not right. MTCC. It's a technical college in the Carolinas, and it's interesting that the Elmer, the adult who's responsible for this, who's doing the Elmering, is named actually Elmer. He is Elmer KX4HM, and we'll listen to what he is doing, and I ask a bunch of questions to see what the youth are responding to. What I'd like to do as part of a project here is to see what it really takes to interest youth in amateur radio. And I'm not interested in talking to old people. I'm interested in talking to the youth themselves. I started this with a conversation I had at Dayton with some YOTA youth from Germany and Austria. So let's tune in to the MTCC Waves, that's the name of their organization, and see what we can learn. Look for things like structure, organization, a good solid Elmer, but also things like doing things hands-on, and see what it is that interests these kids and keeps them going.
These guys, and we've been watching along the way, and they come up with the idea that they want to ask you something, and then it turned into an interview.
Well, great. I'm delighted to see young people in amateur radio, and I actually am more interested in hearing from you. I'm not sure I have anything fantastic to say. So who are you? Tell me who you are.
I am Ben, KH4UMS.
Hello, Ben. She's hiding in the background there.
I'm Josie. I don't currently have a license.
Okay, Josie. And
Hi, I'm Maggie. I also do not have a license currently.
hi, Becky. I assume you soon will. Yes, and next?
Kennedy. Hi.
Do you have your license?
No, sir.
Not yet.
One of us.
Okay, and go ahead.
I'm Nick.
Hi, Nick. And do you have your license?
No.
Not yet? Okay, so we have one. Yeah?
And I'm Elmer, KX4HM.
KX4HM. And it's just a coincidence that your name is Elmer and you're an Elmer?
Isn't that amazing?
I think that's great. So what is MTCC?
It's McDowell Technical Community College, but we have an early college that's combined. So basically everybody you see before you are early college students, but I work for the college proper. I'm actually the Director of Technology and Information Systems here, and one of my hobbies is amateur radio, and decided to start up an amateur club for the college and for early college. And after, I guess, about 2 years, we've got the hardcore folks that have been with me from day one. We've got one newbie, and it's really been a journey and a challenge to try to get people interested in the technology and the hobby of amateur radio. But these are the folks that have stuck with me and really had showed promise and really want to learn amateur radio.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm Dave Kassler, as you may know, KE0OG, and from About 1993 to 2003, I was involved with a group in Boulder. It was the Boulder Amateur Radio Junior Division, teaching amateur radio to youth. And I was one of the Elmers for that. They put over 200 kids through that program. That's how my kids got their licenses and how my wife got her license. My wife and I were dating at the time, and she got it in her head that the only way I'd marry her is if she was a ham. And I did nothing to disabuse her of that notion. So she got her ham license. She's KB0VWW for a very wonderful woman. And she uses her license occasionally, usually to talk to me. So, great. So, do you guys have a club or some kind of social organization?
So we're actually we do have a club, and we're formalizing it with ARRL and FCC to get a club call in the whole 9 yards. We've had to go through basically starting with zero from scratch, getting the permission to actually start the club, actually presenting, going from zero equipment to now we actually have a KX2 that was donated to us I don't know. We've got a Yaesu 857D that we've got for HF. We've got a TYT quad band. We've got 20 Baofeng UV5R handheld handy talkies, a super antenna, a couple other portable antennas. I'm looking for a permanent location so that we can have a ham shack in facility so that we can get an antenna farm up and start doing some HF work and basically doing some drills, a lot of hands-on. But it's been a process it's kind of hard to bring people into a club, into an environment where you're starting with scratch and you're working on a promise and YouTube videos. But these are the guys that actually stuck with me. One of the questions that I have is, as far as curriculum, what have you found being the best way to get people involved, to get excited, to stay in, at the same time you're trying to motivate them to take that extra step so that they have to do their part of the work as well?
Well, that is the $64,000 question, isn't it? That I think everybody is asking about this, especially youth. I don't know that I have a really good answer because nobody seems to have a good answer right now. Amateur radio is a lot of fun. And I don't know, I still consider it. I remember one time I had a 2-watt QRP rig, and I was in the mountains of Southern California with a dipole strung between two trees, and I was talking in CW with a guy in New Jersey on 2 watts. That's less than the power of a flashlight. To me, that's magic. I know I'm an engineer, but radio to me is magic, and I just enjoy the social aspects of it and so on. It's such a broad hobby. Let me ask you, kid, Ben, you've got your license, right?
I do.
You do. What attracted you to ham radio? What made you listen to this guy?
Well, it sounded interesting on paper, and so I decided to come in, and it actually was fairly interesting. He did a lot more with hands-on than most people tend to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's ask Nick over on the other side there. We'll straddle the room. What interested you? What sparked your curiosity? What pushed you over the edge to come and try the group?
Well, it was he proposed it to us in an all-school meeting 2 years ago, and we had about 16 to 20 people join then.
Mm-hmm.
Most people were kind of interesting, they left immediately or just never returned. But it's just it's kind of like the fact that the 2.5 years that we've been here, I think we've taken one practice test. It's the fact that he's just like, here's the equipment, figure out how it works, don't try not to break it. Like he said, he's all hands-on. It's just interesting to us.
Okay, so you like the hands-on aspects then. Okay, good. And let's see, Becky, what you don't have your license yet, but something drew you in to this group. Was it friends, social, technical? What was it?
I've been hearing about it from everybody here because I'm friends with most of these people, and I just thought this is a skill that is something that I should learn. It's going to be useful in the future, and so I decided to join up. Last week was my first time in the club, and I had a really good time, and I'm excited to learn and have a lot of hands-on experience.
Oh, good. I keep hearing learning and having a hands-on experience here. Josie, how about you? What continues to interest you in your club and in ham radio?
It's mainly the fact that me as a person, I like to learn, and so simply the fact that it's something I didn't know made me want to learn more about it.
And the hands-on. I keep hearing hands-on. And Kennedy, how about you?
Honestly, the same as Nick. I heard about it in all-school meeting, and it just sounded really interesting. And then I got into the club, and it was immediately kind of, again, like hands-on. I'll let you do it. Just Elmer's there to make sure we don't blow stuff up or kill each other. So it's just fun.
Who here among you has been a member of the group the longest?
3 of us.
Yeah.
The 3 of us? Okay. Now, I want to ask you a question. Has your interest in ham radio affected your interests in outside or in other classes or anything like that, like the science, technology, engineering, and math, or some other thing? Ben, how about you?
Well, I was interested in technology before I started ham.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of that sounded interesting. It's like, this is technology I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
At least haven't really seen would be more accurate.
Uh-huh. Okay, so it reinforces your interest in something you were already interested in.
That's kind of how we all are. We were interested in it before, and then whenever we got here, it just pushed our interests further than what we thought.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, and Josie, what about you? You were one of the first.
Really, like, it hasn't changed my interest in the other stuff that I've done, but it's sort of like a hobby for me. But like he said, it really kind of bumped the interest up once we got in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a few interviews. This was years ago with that group in Boulder. I did a 10 years after group where we got people together who had been in the group 10 years before. These kids were all in college or had just graduated college. And I found a strong interest in engineering in particular among the kids there. It seemed to really affect their career choices. And it made it more real. I know when I was studying for my master's, I think I learned far more practical electronics as a ham radio operator than I did as an engineering student. So, what do you guys do for activities?
Typically, what we've been doing is I like to go in and explain radio concepts and then actually break out the gear and then actually let folks run from that. Like last year, one of the biggest things we did was actually go through and learn how to program UV5R so that we could actually hit the local repeater and just be able to key it. Because I'm a member of the local amateur club here in McDowell County where we live, and most of those guys have been hams for decades.
Yeah.
But they all lack the basic ability to use new ham gear because of the computer element.
Right.
So one of the things right off the top that I want to make sure folks had the skill set was to actually take the radio concepts and be able to program and get in the repeaters starting almost day one.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody extreme strong background in computer usage, and to be able to marry that ability to use the computer and realize, hey, once I'm able to program this radio, I've got a skill set that people that have been in the hobby for decades don't even possess.
Mm-hmm.
That with the Yaesu going in, learning antenna theory, safety, difference between high power, low power, protecting your finals. The one thing that I'm trying to shape this club for, because I'm looking to get into ecom, so that we can maybe apply for grants, things of that nature, to try to grow the program bigger, is to kind of put a radio readiness into everybody and expect about the emergency aspects of amateur radio, teaching them that amateurs have the broadest use of the radio spectrum of any group of individuals, being able to utilize that spectrum in emergency situations. Prime examples, the hurricane that just hit and still going on right now. It's 2019. 2019, you wouldn't think that an island nation would have zero communications.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get that aspect across, just trying to get the highlights of the hobby, and hopefully get folks inspired to want to go on and learn more on their own, because this is one of those hobbies where truly, in order to learn it, you have to do it. You have to get in it and you have to dig yourself.
Mm-hmm.
One of my hardest things is I try to show the highlights, the things that have interested myself, put the hands-on there, because most of the time in today's environment, especially in education, schools are really, I think, kind of limiting the talent, because like with computer labs, we build a computer lab, we have to lock it down so it's a general use lab. People can't get hands-on. They can get usage, but they can't get hands-on where they have the ability to break stuff or make mistakes. So in here, even though I try to put the fear of, hey, don't break this, literally I'm watching to make sure that doesn't happen. But in order to truly learn, you have to learn as you did as a kid. You have to tinker, you have to play, you have to explore. So I've got the gear, we break it out, and we touch it. We fire it up, we try to make call, we call CQ, using my call, of course, right now, but just little drills like that, where we'll get out, take the handy talkies, we might say, hey, I'm at such and such frequency, I need you to go from cold at such and such time, I need you to call in with this, or get in and actually hit the repeater. I've got a lot of things planned, but we usually limit it to the school schedule, so I've got to start meeting after class and to take it a little bit further than what we do now, so that we can explore the concepts and actually get more hands-on. And this has been an evolution process, so we're still young in the requirements of what the school has to do and what the college has to do, and then what the students have to do. So it's one of those things. It's been challenging to get to this point, but I think it's starting to pay off.
Well, your energy and enthusiasm, I think, is infectious. So I see the kids smiling and nodding. Have you guys ever tried a fox hunt?
Not yet.
Do you know what a fox hunt is?
Yeah, that's something that I want to do. And actually, I've talked to the local hams. They've got the gear, and they said that at some point that we would definitely do a fox hunt.
Yeah. When I worked with those kids in Park Junior, they were a bunch younger than you guys. These were mostly middle school and lower high school kids. So they'd be anywhere from 12 to 16 or 17. They loved their fox hunts. We tried to do one a month. And
okay.
They had a club organization. So there was a president of the club, and they'd vote, on this, and the president would run the meetings and so on. And they also had a weekly net. It was on Sunday evenings for theirs, but it could be done anytime. But it was a weekly net, so that the kids could get involved and take their turns as net control. And they thoroughly enjoyed that because the kids were always front and center and doing various things to get on the air. Another thing the kids liked to do was to set up for portable operation. There's a kids' day. Kids, hams are so old they think people who are 18 and 19 are kids. The Kids' Day every year, where it's sort of a get on the air and try and get as many contacts as you can. Have you done any? Did you try Field Day this year? Go to a Field Day site?
We did not. I was actually out of the country during Field Day this year. That's something that this year we plan on doing and participating in as well, because now we've actually got gear to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The local had expressed that they were more than happy to have everybody out, but it didn't work out this year. But this year with gear, we definitely plan on participating in Field Day. Like I said, this has been a slow road. We actually started out with 0, and we've got well over probably $5,000 worth of gear now. So I mean, we've been able to get the gear, and I've got some folks, I call these the lieutenants, that are definitely interested and willing to do whatever it takes to learn the hobby. And so hopefully when I'm planning next is once these guys are fully licensed, then, and we have a sanctioned club as far as the ARRL and FCC is concerned, then I'm able to petition the school to get more, and then get a presence that's much more entrenched and built up. I'm going to start teaching a full curriculum with a Con Ed group soon, so that's also part of my plan, is to be able to say, hey, I've got to have a facility to do this. At the same time, I'm able to have a group that's here doing the day-to-day operations of a sanctioned club.
Mm-hmm. I put on my website, let me look and see how long ago that was. There's a organization, where is it here? So I put this on at dcastler.com. It's on July 6th. There's a fellow who, much like you, was promoting ham radio to his friends, and he calls his club the GOTA Hams. GOTA is the abbreviation from Get on the Air.
Okay.
Get on the air, and their logo is a goat. Okay. But what he did was he just sort of took all these new hams under his belt and did a bunch of things to, there are always activities that they can do. They can do something portable. They can go help out like at a race or something like that, foot race. And there was always activities, and it really has a group of people. Now, I know this will come as a revelation to you young people, but the only difference between young people and old people is age. They've got the same desires to play in the mud that you do, and they just, do it with a little bit more sophisticated mud, that's all. But what they were doing is this group they have an activity a month. The club meets frequently, and what this guy who's in charge is doing is just making sure there's always something going on. And his club has grown to, it looks like about 15 people. But with the activities, there's a structure to the organization. So somebody's president for 3 months, they run the club meetings for 3 months, and so on to rotate through. Different people find different activities interesting. There are the people who are scared to talk to anybody, so they use digital modes. And then the people who love the socializing might just get on to RagChew. I was on 20 meters one time on radio teletype, and I encountered a fellow who had been on Walter Cronkite's crew. Walter Cronkite was a famous newscaster quite some time ago in the 60s, and he'd been all over the world, and so I sort of got the story behind it from the guy who was there. It was a lot of fun. I've met some very interesting people on the air. I would recommend that you, of course, get your technician license, but try to move beyond that, try to push beyond that to your general, because then you can get on HF, and that's where all the weird fun stuff is, and the DX and all that. Now, you got one licensee there. Ben, have you ever tried DMR, or digital voice?
Actually,
we've done it here a couple times. I've showed it a couple times. I don't know if Ben was with us when we actually used DMR. I'll definitely bring that back in for them to see. Go ahead and explain to the group exactly what DMR is so that everybody, even the new folks, will know.
Well, it stands for Digital Mobile Radio. It is an international standard, but really the company behind it is Motorola. And some hams from Motorola thought they'd try it on the ham bands. The Digital Mobile Radio was designed for public safety communications, police, fire, all of that kind of thing. And so they tried it on ham radio. And one of the ways that it works is digital mobile radios is organized into what are called talk groups. Think of them as rooms where people can come and chat. And from just about any DMR repeater, you can get on any one of these talk groups. Well, the thing is, if somebody halfway around the world is on the same talk group, you can talk to them over the local repeater. And some people have found this just a very interesting part of the hobby for technician class licensees, because they can get on the repeater or a local hotspot and literally talk with people around the world. And it's granted, there's a lot of infrastructure involved, and the internet is involved too, but it's a great way to meet people. There are talk groups in every language. Some are local, some are worldwide. There's a talk group in the United States. It's talk group 510. And yet a lot of people from England get on that talk group because it's English language. So you can get there and make some friends in England. I've got one of my viewers of my Saturday live stream is a guy in Johannesburg. He's, I think, 16. And I'm setting him up with a guy that's also about that same age somewhere in Minnesota, who comes in and listens to my Saturday live stream. But it's a great way to meet people like yourself from around the world. And you can do it as a tech. You don't have to have your general or a big antenna or anything like that. So that's something that you could kind of do for, maybe a intra-club competition there when you all have your licenses. See who can contact the ham that's the furthest away, or see who can, get the most contacts on a talk group. And it gives a chance to get on the air and really see something beyond your local repeater. Does that sound at all interesting?
yeah.
Yeah, something to give it a try. Kennedy, you seem quite interested. I see you smiling. It's
It sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. DMR radios. I use this little radiodity thing here. I've reviewed it on my channel. It's Chinese made. I think it was $75 or something, not terribly expensive. So,
I've got a Baofeng DMR. So
Oh.
1701.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was just sent one of those to review. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to give it a try. I've been sent a lot of things to review, so I'm like 2 months behind. We just lost somebody there. Oh dear.
She had to go make a call right quick.
Okay.
Any questions?
Where would you recommend? What website would you recommend for studying for the general?
Well, I have a bunch of videos for that. I use the ARRL books. I'm in the process of updating those for the latest book. The only difference between the videos that are up there and the new curriculum is that there's more on digital modes in the new curriculum. But you can go to ke0og.net/general and see the list of videos there. And a lot of people have told me they've had success on it. I guess the people who fail with those don't tell me. So, any other questions?
I've got another question. How do you feel about the relevance of CW?
Well, that's sort of like asking who you support for president. It's one of those things that has multiple answers. Currently, CW is a mode that is available to you, even as techs. Now, techs should note that they have HF privileges on CW right now. I got my license when you had to pass the CW test, although I will not claim that my CW is real good right now. I do about 10 words a minute. I had to do 20 to get my extra. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I think it's a fun addition to the hobby. People can really get into it. CW seems to be used mostly in connection with QRP radios. You get a radio that is this big. This is a little single board radio. It's a 5-watt QRP rig for 40 meters. Even has its own built-in key right here. That radio is about $50, so it's an inexpensive way of getting into HF on CW. Different people learn CW at different rates. The common denominator on how you learn CW is practice. Daily practice for about 15 minutes a day. After that, your brain is fried. There's no point in practicing more for the day, but I use it from time to time. I think it's a great way to communicate, but it's not something that you need to do it. You will find among a lot of the old timers a sort of CW fanaticism, and that's fine. They can have what they want. Any other questions, guys? Well, I have really enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you very much for your time. This opens my eyes because I had an experience a year ago at a hamfest down in Albuquerque where some bigwig from the ARRL got up and agonized over how we're supposed to get youth into amateur radio. And I stood up and said, well, following this luncheon, there's a forum being put on by the youth. It was that Bart Jr. group. I said, why don't you go there and ask the youth what will attract them to ham radio, what will bring them in? Oh, yeah, we're studying it. So I went to the forum. None of those guys did. I thought, this is stupid. You've got this group of youth right here, all of whom are hams, all of whom are very excited about it. Go listen to them. And I think we need to listen to youth a lot more than we do today. So thank you very much for letting me talk with you guys. I hope you form a great club, and I hope to hear from you in the future.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for your educational videos. They are fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, 73 to all of you. And we'll see you later. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Well, that was fascinating. The big thing that came out there was hands-on. There are a few other little things. I noticed Elmer taking notes. Things like organization structure, scheduled events, things that people can do. Let's talk about this in the comments. You tell me what you think you gleaned from it and what interests youth these days. And if you are a youth, by youth I mean someone under 25, I'm old, please identify yourself as such in the comments so that I can pay special attention to those. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to take a look at www.dcasler.com/support for ways that you can support this channel. And until we next meet, 73.